So wait a few seconds in case anybody chimes in. Oh, not having a good progressive night so far. Yesterday was this. Today, this. Not the end of the world though. Just get a little hiccup in my giddy up. Trying to get off the sugar. Yeah, I know that stuff right there is poison. Hey, you got somebody in here. So, try not to go too long on the video. Oh, also, somehow, does it look weird yet? Somehow, it seems like the lens is going to like widescreen. Let's see. It doesn't tell me. When I start pinching, it just zooms way in. I don't know how to get it to normal. Oops. Anyway, I'll just have to pay attention to what I'm filming. But yesterday I made a video about making that other couple circuit boards. Laid out my designs on here. And relearning how to use the CNC machine again. And started making some boards again, and everything come out good. Here's a dual stepper motor board I made, and it connects to a little microprocessor board I made yesterday. That's all cool. I did notice yesterday when I came out here to start work that my computer was very buggy, and it kept sticking like in post on the boot, kept sticking, and then finally it came on, and then I was able to use it. It didn't crash. But today it's just doing that nonstop. So there it is. I have the case off. I jinxed myself by talking up this computer because I built this computer like 11 years ago, and it's like a AMD 1055T or something. It's like a 6-core with hyper-threading, so it's like 12 virtual, whatever. Logical cores, logical processors, whatever, in the dang thing. And it's ran. I've upgraded twice since this PC. And the one that's after this I gave to my daughter a couple months ago and upgraded that one to a Ryzen 9. So my main PC in my bedroom is like a Ryzen 9. It's pretty high end, better than an Intel i7. Back when this was made, these were lagging Intel. They also ran hotter than Intel and had some issues. I also just gave away an i7 Surface Pro. The fan gets noisy after a while, but it still worked. I probably could have used it, but anyway, looks like I'm going to have to get a motherboard at least, if not a motherboard processor, because this is kind of old school. But I isolated everything out of this thing. This is an old Sound Blaster Live card, studio grade. Look, the audio outputs are left and right. Hear that? Phono, the 1/4-inch jacks that I have to adapt over to the 1/8-inch stereo to hook the regular stereo up to it. It's got all sorts of digital inputs and outputs and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, fiber optics. I've had this for a long time. This is a studio recording card. Water cooled with I cut it, put the fan through the top, the radiator in there. It's not really that dirty. But what I realized is a little bit ago when I kept trying to get it on, if I touch this heat sink here, hot as a firecracker. So I cooled it off with a bag of ice for a while. This is after I already cleared the CMOS, pulled out the battery, did all that stuff. Unplugged every USB thing, see if there's a conflict, cleared the battery, everything, and then I realized this was hot as a firecracker. So I put ice on it, and I just tried it a little bit ago, and it just doesn't work. And I think what it is this doesn't always go to sleep properly. So with it 100+ degrees in this garage, this room isn't cooled yet. It's what I'm working on. I think it just cooked it. And that's the GPU that's built on this thing, which is what I've been using since my graphics card went bad in this thing. And I used this thing for a couple more years after the graphics card went bad. And that's what it's doing. It just sticks right there. Sometimes it'll real slowly go to the next screen. And that's what it did to me yesterday, and then it finally came on, and I actually used it just fine after that. Watching videos while I'm using multiple software and didn't crash. It's just getting it to boot was weird. So I think it's screwed up. So that's going to set me back because it's where all my software is. But honestly, I'd rather see. It might go to the next screen where the cross. It goes real slow. I'd rather have to replace the motherboard processor than lose everything that was on the hard drives. Honestly, you have to reset up everything. Although technically you need to reset up Windows if you do change hardware, but I'm pretty sure I was syncing all my programming stuff into the cloud, into my OneDrive. So that's just what this does. It just slowly goes through here. I thought it had I thought it could have a bad drive, so I unplugged those. Something hanging up on the USB, I unplugged those. But all that stuff's been unplugged, and I've tried it. But now that after about 5-10 minutes, I feel it blazing hot heatsink on the GPU. I'm sure something just fucked. So I was gonna let that go. So let's go out here. So I have this temporarily hooked up. So I got 12 volt little power supply, goes up to here. It feeds the 12 volt side of the stepper motor drivers. That's what drives the motors. And this just got adjustable for 5 volts to everything else. And you see here, this is a cutaway of one of these stepper motor electronic expansion valves. So the dome part's cut off of here. There's your strainer, and then where the needle seats, your needle seats right down in that hole in there. And right now you can kind of see it. I have to remember to hold the camera a certain way since it's stuck in wide. I don't know why when I'm using the YouTube app on this phone, it's going to like widescreen. I don't see any things about changing that. Like I said, if I pinch it, it zooms way in. But okay, so that works. I have it set up for dual, and I could switch from summer to winter, right? And then it's winter, yeah. Okay, so I'll show you what the other little hiccup is, but I don't think it's gonna be. Actually, it's not the end of the world. But these are. This is the stepper motor that comes in this unit. It's a single port, mini split, and then I added this one here that I took. These are ones I cut out of a 4-port. I put one in here for when I split this coil in half to make evaporator on top for winter heat pump mode for my water heater, and the bottom half's a condenser now still. So this one's going on here. This feels a little warm, which means I need to go and adjust the current down on it, but I was testing it. Anyway, let me put that, show you what's going on. Let me put this on summer. So it's on summer, it's gonna motorize this expansion valve to feed refrigerant to the high wall here. Heat will reject through the water heat exchanger to the water heater primarily, and then it's gonna, after that, the hot gas will come back, feed into this bottom section, which is gonna be a normal condenser, and then come out common liquid. And the liquid could go two ways, through this metering device to the indoor unit, and in the winter, this will close and it's going to go to this metering device to this top half, which will be an evaporator. Running in heat pump mode, it's kind of going to be a bastard unit if it's going to be a really badass bastard unit. But here's the thing I noticed is these valves, and I already tested it before, they close off 100%. The one I have the cutaway of, they close off 100%, so that's cool. This one here does not. And I did notice it's a little slightly different, even though they're all carrier, it's just different. And I will realize, well, this is a single port unit. You never need to close off. It never needs to have a positive shutoff for isolation because it's just a single port. You just need to have a range to meter the refrigerant. So if I open this with it closed all the way, you still hear it hissing. Let me shut off this fan for a second. So well, watch, I'm going to open it up. It does open it, so it modulates. I have nitrogen in there. Might be actually running out of nitro. It's getting so quiet. And it takes about 255 steps to go from full open to full close. You can actually hear it when it's all the way. Fill it up with nitro some more. See, it leaks just a little bit. So I'm like, well, shit. So the thing I was just doing, I should have 2 more of these because I have this one here because I had a 4-port manifold. Let me show you well, I took all that out of. 4-port, you know, coming out of common liquid. Went to 4 of these. And a bunch of scrap. Went through 4 of these, you know, or 4 of those metering devices, then 4 of these that are bolted into a 4-port unit. So I have 1 here, I saw it welded in. I have 1 I cut apart, and with taking apart my garage, building this and putting it all back together, I don't know where they are. I've looked through there, looked on my cart, which is where I figured it would be. I looked outside, I don't know, I lost it. So I was gonna quickly weld another one in here so it would have positive shut off, but I don't know where it is. But then I realized that's no big deal because for the winter, if it doesn't shut off enough, I'll just come out here and close this. Close it. I'm already going to go in there and change this modes. Everything will save in the EEPROM, so I won't lose memory, you know, with power going out, but it'll do that. So basically, that's how that works. Get my fan back on. This is AC will come back on over here. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the winter one. Oops. So yeah. This is my program. This is a temporary program. I actually have to program in all the resistor inputs and everything. So now it's on winter, which is this one. So when I move it, see it's moving it. So here's my cutaway. We're gonna take this, put it on there. Actually, I'm gonna stop this fan again so you guys can hear this. I notice when I charge it with nitro, I can actually hear it kind of equalize when I open this here. Listen. So I think that one's working. Kind of interesting that it gets a little louder as it opens, but might have to put the meter back on. Remember how to do the adjustments on the little pots on these, but you adjust the current to be, and then these won't stay hot. I think this one's still adjusted okay because this isn't getting really hot. This one's just a little warm. So, and basically it's the decay current. Like after it's done pulsing, you know, the steps, then it doesn't take all the power away. We were talking about that with somebody else. We were discussing it in the comments, but the whole thing is you can't just have 0 power to stepper motors if they have the chance of whatever it's controlling moving, like this kind of stuff. When it moves to move an axis, there's chance that vibrations or just the device, you know, will move the motor. So they usually just lower the current but have a holding current, so it actually puts the brake. It's like a motor brake. So with the refrigerant flowing through these things, maybe these things will, you know, I mean, you can see this thing, it could spin by hand, you know. So if you just put a little bit of, you know, holding current, then it won't do that. Oops, I just hit the wrong ding button. Yep, you can hear what's at the end. It seems to be exactly 255 steps too. So at least how I have this programmed with an 8-bit word and 255 full steps. I'm not doing like quarter halves or anything, just full steps, which I think is enough resolution. Takes 255 of them pretty much. So the only thing you do on power, whenever I power it up, I'll just have it run like more than 255 steps, which is what I think I've noticed units doing. They zero, they home all the stepper motors, and then it can keep counting where it is after that. So that's the idea. So that was good progress. This thing's working, like I said. Here's an identical. See, that's the needle. So I'm opening it, and the needle's going to screw in. We're looking at it upside down. The tape's on there just so you could see it, or you wouldn't see a round needle spinning. But see how it's retracting into the head. And eventually, it'll run out of steps right there. See, now it's turning the whole thing because it's not locked like it is on there. So it takes about 255 steps to go from open to close. I don't think this camera's doing the best. Anyway, like I showed you yesterday, I got the Frederick bastard coupled to the carrier high wall blowing here, and then this towel's over a fan to kind of blow some air in here. Look at that. Let's see if it'll F1 to run. So I haven't gotten to this screen in a while. Wait. Dude, it's doing some weird stuff. And I definitely don't want it to screw up the hard drives either. The main one is solid state. Okay, the time is wrong. That's good, it did clear. What time is it? It's 6:58. It's going real slow. It did this earlier. Unlock. Oh yeah, look, it locked. It's. Oop, there. Look, it took the 6 now. Man. This thing's fucked. 2002 is the default for this BIOS. It's not quite that old, but it is pre-2010. I mean, yeah, see, oh, yeah, 2000, look, it's 1985 to 2010 for this Meritrend or Megatrend. So, that's about one of, 11 years, 12 years. I think it's around 12 minutes. It's not wanting to obey and actually have a regular keyboard on it right now instead of just the wireless one. But that's what I'm dealing with. Computer issues. So that sucks. And my daughter, somebody built her one and it was hand-me-downs that were too slow for her to game. So I just gave her my other Ryzen. What is it? Was it Ryzen? Was it a 5? I don't know. It was lower than the one I got now. I have a Ryzen 9 now. So it's an old AMD 1055 in here. Then I had a Ryzen and now I have a Ryzen 9. Which is just right before you go to the crazy, thread rippers above that. But mine has 24, I think, logical cores or something like that. If I'm not saying, I think it's 12 with hyperthreading making it 24. I don't know, I might be saying that wrong, but who knows. I got a 2-in-1 Dell that has a Ryzen 5 based processor in it, and it seems to be almost a little more responsive than the i7 Dell that work provided me. I don't know, I might have to just maybe hook it up out here. I don't know how I'm gonna use 2 monitors though. It does have HDMI. Maybe I might have an extra cable that plugs into the USB-C, but it charges off USB-C, so you can't use that if you don't have the whole hub that runs the power through at the same time to keep it charged. I don't know, I might have to look for another motherboard processor. That sucks. This is DDR3, so kind of sucks. Is either you try to find something old to get your older thing back up and running, or you just bite the bullet and buy all new shit. Hey man, you're usually the first dude in here, and you slacking because you're in here probably right before I quit. But I have way too much issues with my computer and stuff. But anyway, this was my test. Test is good. But the thing is, the next thing to do now is start programming in thermistors and whatnot into my processor. Uh-oh. And I can't So my computer just took a shite. That sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get on the internet or something. Maybe look for a used computer. Sometimes people, good thing about PCs, people that are in the gaming, man, I don't need a gaming grade one out here. And people are always trying to have the best one they can have. They upgrade them quite a bit, and then they just try to sell their old one for. Sometimes you get one with the graphics card and everything for about $400. Yep. Oh yeah. This heat sink in here. Well, about half a second I can hold my hand on there. I'd say that's about 150 to 160 degrees. Turn this on again. See the prop. Make sure this isn't also goofy. No, that was working. It doesn't feel, the water loop doesn't feel hot. It's got to be just a graphics section, but it's burning hot. So having this thing out here in the garage probably just ended it. But it's an old Asus board. I forget what they called it, a gaming whatever, something, gay freaking board that it was called. There it is, an M4A88TD-B Evo. When USB 3 first came out. So I'm just running this drive for extra storage and then a SSD up there. I tried to unplug, like I said earlier in the video, I've unplugged USBs, I've unplugged every drive. It's not hanging up on that. It's got to be the graphics chipset just got cooked. I cooled it off with a bag of ice. And it's hot within 5-10 minutes again when you turn on. So something happened to it. It's fucked. Hey, what kind of laptop you got there, Macy? Maybe Daddy needs it.
No.
Can I have your laptop?
No, you can't.
Why not?
That's how I play Roblox.
Roblox sucks. It's gay.
And that's why I use school on it, because they gave me a trashy laptop.
Because what?
Because the school gave me a trashy
Because they give you that
laptop.
Google Chrome.
No, it wasn't Google Chrome.
I thought you had a Chromebook.
It was an HP. No, that was the old school that really, really, really sucked. I mean, they were...
Because Google Chromebooks do suck. They're not real computers.
The new one that I have is, like, not that great either. It's one of those cheap HP ones.
Why are you wearing this gay band t-shirt?
Because that's what I wanted to wear.
You like Screamo Emo?
Yep. It's also getting, like, tore up. Somebody...
Uh-huh. Alright guys, well, that's frustrating. Dead in the water. Dead in the water because that computer took a shit.
Oh, and another poser.
Huh?
And then have a poser.
What about a poser?
And I said, and another poser.
You're not a poser?
Yeah.
As in, yeah. Let's see.
Poser.
So, need to clean up some of this stuff. Anyway, this was how I was testing it out with all this stuff. But then, to see that those little chips work. This is those little chips right here. They're small. See how the size of my finger? That's a stepper motor. Somebody was talking about, just using transistors, and I've done that before. But you have to program in, like, use pulse width modulation through another, for the power that goes to the stepper motor output, and, like, ramp it down to holding current, after you move it, so it doesn't overheat the stepper motor coils. And like I said, if you turn off all power, depending on what the stepper motor is driving, it can move from vibrations or refrigerant flowing through the metering device or whatever. So you have to keep some current just to kind of put a brake. It's like a brake, holds the motor in one spot. And you just turn up the current when you need it to move, but then you turn it down when it sits. So somewhere in here, somewhere in these instructions, I think. So that's what's cool about these. Like I said, I get like 2 of these for like $8 or something. It's hard not to use them. So you adjust it. Low current micro stepping. Somewhere in here, it tells you how to adjust that. That's the chip itself. But I have instructions for the modules itself, those little red boards. zoom in if I can, but see how little they are. But there's a focus. This phone's being a bastard. But right there, it's tiny, and people do complain that those, but that's how you adjust the holding current. So this one, or one of them's adjusted. I think it's this one, but the other one needs to be fine tuned. You got to put you got to read across some resistor on there or whatever, and for the voltage drop, and you can kind of see where the limit is basically for the current. When the current and magnetic, windings, you kind of see that when it's saturated or whatever. So you can kind of just trim it down to where it drops below saturation, and the current will drop, and then you're not going to be pulling all that current through the winding. Kind of just fine tune it. Yep, and then I have this in here I was going to use for the outdoor fan, but I don't know. I wanted to, if I had more time, man, I would try to build my own driver, maybe for one of those. I've never done that before. Or change it to like one of these other type motors. I don't remember why I have this motor. It's a Daikin though, but I swear they're like all the same. And all these Chinese, Japanese, whatever, Chinese units. You got your high voltage DC, and then you have your usually like 15 volts or so for a control voltage that generates out of the motor, and then you have your signal in to tell it what speed, and then a tachometer back out. So the motors look identical. Some of them are just 3-wire like that, which requires an external driver board, and then some have it built in, like a full ECM motor. The bearings feel good at this one and everything, so I don't know. It might have been, don't know why that one got changed, but if it works, I could test it out and then inject the signal and see if it runs, because if that would bolt in, to that same spot, that would be cool. Then I won't have to use a driver board.
Hey Dad, I can name 3 songs from this band too.
Alright. I'm just spinning my wheels right now, but let's check the comments before I leave. You ever thought about doing HVAC on my own? Yes and no. I mean, it's okay, but what happens is as I'm getting older, I don't really want like the headaches of, just like I didn't want to be a service manager. I'd rather do techie stuff like I'm doing now. It's like you go home and you're not done working. There's people going to call you. People going to be, anything you touch, you own, stuff like that. And I just like some degrees of separation. So, and it just seems like over the years, I've shunned away more side work than I've taken. I like it when someone goes, hey, some company wants $800 to put in an outdoor fan motor. And I'll be like, I'll put it in for $350 or something. Now it'd be more probably now because the parts have gone up. But for example, in like $400, they'll be like, oh hell yeah. And here's the thing: I didn't diagnose it, and I'll just put the motor in there, and then if the new one dies, and I'll change it out, warranty it that way, and I could probably get it changed, depending on what vendor I get. But usually I'm not gonna have a motor die within a year. I think it's only happened to me once. But usually I like those side jobs because it's like I'm not the one like selling them something. I didn't even diagnose it or something. They know their motor's bad and they're like, hey, it quit. I go there, put a motor in or a capacitor or whatever. I do it for a 50% or 75% or whatever of what they were going to pay, and then I make me a quick chunk of money in and out. That's the way I like to do it. But it seems like whenever you go to a lot of the cold ones where like somebody has had issues, or they don't know what's going on or whatever, or I don't know, some other reason they get you out there. It's always like it's just a can of freaking worms. It's a shitty attic. The unit's junk. It's been neglected to where, and then like I said, once you touch it, it's like you own it. And when you're running an AC company, you could absorb all those nuisance customers that come and go, occasionally out of the everyday mix, but when you're like just doing it yourself, it just, it's just a pain in the ass. So, and I haven't really had those issues, but I just know that they would be there, and I've looked at some stuff where I've just kind of walked away, just like, dang, go over there. This person needs all or nothing. And it's like, and of course, because I'm theirs, because I ain't got the money to do what it really needs anyway. So, change out a unit or, because it was like 25 years old and rusted and leaking or everything's wrong with it. It's like, And I'll spend all that time loading up my stuff and going out there and then coming back, and then I give them a low price for looking at it, but then it's like don't even make any money, because you make the money and putting in the motor or something. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. I should probably come up eventually. What I should do is I'm getting older, and now I'm not in the field regularly. I only go out the field to kind of help people now and work in an office most of the time now. I don't know. I almost daydreamed about, in fact, like here's 2 of these things. I've already kind of fixed these by putting buttons in them. So brother-in-law said, here's 2 of these, give me back one and you can have the other. Dude, these are like $1,000 to buy these. And, they are coming out with ones with buttons, but I know everybody I've asked, they haven't seen them yet, but they do, supposed to be coming out. But I don't know, I almost thought of like putting in the tactile buttons, these clicking tactile buttons. I also have these big giant ones, the big style. Whatever I could fit. I can't remember what I put in there, but I've done it to like two or 3 of those so far. I almost thought of like maybe do stuff like fix those up and then like give people like a, say whatever, $150. Gotta make it worth it though. It is some time to fix those, but let's just say $150 and your old one, and here's one with buttons. And then you got to hope the one they give you is fixable, because then I'd run out of supply if I didn't, or maybe I'll tell people I'll give you $25 for your broken ones, and start getting those. I could do something like that and sell those on the side. Dude, people would love the shit out of those. If anybody is used to these things and how annoying they get, because by 3-4 years old, you're already pressing the button to get it to work, and then eventually they don't work. You take them apart, try to clean them, and you can't even clear the alarms. People are just ripping them apart and sticking screwdrivers in there just to get the alarm cleared. But if I put buttons in there like I've done, man, these things click. It's like freaking butter. It's like the way they should have been from the factory, which they will be from the factory now. But there's plenty of those out there. So that's something I think I should do. Maybe get the word out or something, and if I could get a couple of them to build up some that are already ready to go, then I'd like to maybe put the word out and have people like get some cash. Even if I charged $200 and took their old one, dude, $200 and to somebody is like chump change compared to $1,000. It is time consuming for me to take it apart and do it. So like I said, I got to make it worth it to do it. But it'd be something I do at home, and for some extra money, something not out there, making the big bucks, or potentially with, selling stuff, or not selling, but you know what I mean. If you sell units and all that kind of stuff, all the extra. Just an idea. And then maybe someday come up with the idea to make some little switch boxes or something. I should come up with something that just from a tech for techs, and maybe kind of sell them, fulfill some of the hobby stuff. Once I get done with some of this other stuff and get this room really going, maybe I can make some, I probably can't sell stuff when you're making it yourself and it's not mass produced, and injection molding and computer made circuit boards and stuff. You can't really do it efficiently, and you can't really charge too much. So it wouldn't be like a lot of money for all the time, but maybe it'd be, part of the continuing the hobby. So yeah. Hey man, what's up? Somebody else just jumped in. I keep saying I'm wrapping up the video and I keep going. Got my daughter out here. I don't know why. Whoa, what you doing, daughter? Don't be playing with it. So anyway, the people that just jumped in and I'm getting ready to cut the video is I made progress. You have to rewind the video and watch it later, but I'm able to run the stepper motors on this thing. Got my test.
Live right now?
Yeah, like this all working. Dual stepper motor board I made with a little microprocessor. So my next step, now that I tested, I can open shut my EXVs and stuff with it. Is I need to go into my make the subroutines to actually run it rather than just manually, stepping them open. It'll read 3 different thermistors: indoor coil input, my outdoor evaporator, the top half. Have one up here somewhere reading, and then there's gonna be a common suction one right here. And depending on summer, winter, summer, I cool this room. The heat goes into the water heater, and then after that, the heat goes to the bottom half, which will be a condenser, just to subcool it. And then in the winter, I don't want it to freeze me in this room, and the water heater runs a shitload more hours in the winter, heating 50-degree water, 40-degree water instead of 90 like it is now. This stepper motor will close, and I'll switch it to winter mode, and then it'll modulate this one, reading this thermistor and this thermistor, and meter to evaporate. Using heat pump. Basically, this top half will be evaporator in heat pump mode for the winter to heat my water. And I have that heat pump I made hanging on the wall, just with a rotary compressor, that's been heating for a couple years now. And I put a little smaller rotary in there. It only pulls like 800 watts. And I have the one I was using out there, which pulls like 1,000 watts. It's right here. So this is not an inverter one. I took out the inverter board. That stuff was broken. I got it just for the shell, just to put all this in here. Now I'm going to run a pair of hot gas lines out to the coil loop for my water heater. But my goal right now is just to get this working for at least for the indoor coil. Not hook up the hot gas yet, and probably just get it on the wall so I can put my door on here and start cooling. But fish out of the water now with my garage PC down there I was working on. I have to rewind the video to see why, but it took a shit. So at this point, I'm just repeating myself and rambling on, which is what happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video. I'm gonna go start looking on Craigslist and Marketplace or something and see if I can see what kind of used computers I can find. That'll be probably the simplest way to get this PC going out here again. So
Make sure you guys like and subscribe.
what are you telling them?
Make sure you guys like and subscribe.
And what else? One other thing, the third thing.
Share.
That's right. Share the videos.
Almost forgot about that again.
Yep. So with that, we'll catch you guys later.
Oh, and comments. Tell my dad what he could do better. And maybe what you guys would like to see out of the channel as well.
All right.
Okay, and bye.
All right. Catch you guys later. Bye.